So last week we spoke about joy is the goddamn point. And hopefully since then you have been looking for joy in the everyday things. But what about when life becomes a shit show? What then? You know, because it's easy to sit on a high horse and say, you should find joy in every day. But when life is in chaos and everything around you is falling down, then what? How do we find joy? Well, what we do is we take our power back into our own hands and we look at creating magic within our own lives. So at the start of this year, we had to deal with a cancer diagnosis for my mum, a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. It literally brought my world crashing down around me like you would not believe. And at the time of filming this now is this week, I just got made redundant from my job. So a job that I loved and a job that definitely paid my bills and well looked after me and, the house that we just built through said same company. And again, I am just flung into this chaos and so much uncertainty around. What it sort of felt like is we had dealt with and we were dealing with and we were working through with mum's cancer diagnosis. And just as we were starting to go, okay, we've got this, we've got it figured, we've got it sorted, and, we're going with it and with life, boom, bang, motherfucker. There goes your job, your security, everything that you know, and it is yet another surprise for this year. So I get it when I know how tough it is to be able to find joy in a life that's full of chaos. I'm not sitting up here on my high horse preaching to you in a certain way saying you should do this and you should do that. I live it. I am living it right now. And, this is part of me sharing my journey with you so that you're not alone when you're going through this stuff, but also when I tell you about how we can, make our life sort of better and slow down and be more intentional and live with joy and create magic, is that I'm doing it from a place of doing it with you, not telling you what to do. So the reality is that when all this hit me this year, is that I could have spiraled. I could have let it all just get to me, and rightly so to anyone who's going through anything like this. I get it. And don't get me wrong, there were moments when I fucking spiraled like you wouldn't believe, and I went down to the depths of despair and the pity parties and the woe is me and everything in between. I went there, but the difference is, and the same with anyone else, is what makes a difference is whether you stay there or whether you get back up. I think for me that it highlights more than ever is that I don't want to be sitting in the waiting room of my life, waiting for things to happen. Like if I sit here and I wait for things to be perfect, then I'm never going to enjoy my life or, have happiness. Because, if you want to look at it from the flip side with my mum's diagnosis and then with losing my job, if I wait for things to be perfect, they're never going to be. And I'm going to miss out on all this joy and all these other things that, these experiences of life. And I just don't want to do that. When these sort of things happen, and I know definitely with my mum's diagnosis, it causes this self-reflection, that causes this moment of this huge self-reflection where you start looking at your life and you start sort of analyzing it and reviewing it, and you just sort of like, shit, is this what I want? Is this how I want to be living my life? Because, in a moment, that thing about tomorrow, like it gets taken away from you and you start just realizing how, short life is, and just how putting things off for a tomorrow that may not come is just such a waste of your time. So I got really analytical and I asked myself, what do I want this next chapter of my life to look like? What is it that I want to achieve? What is it that I want to do? But most of all, how do I want to feel? I think it was in that moment too that I just realized as well is that I get to choose. I get to take my power back and I get to choose how I want my life to be, how I want my life to feel, and what lights me up inside and what makes me feel great. So part of that is about creating magic in the everyday. All right, so not the big grand gestures and then waiting for everything special and for the everything to be right like we spoke about last week. It's definitely not about having it all figured out or putting it off until we have everything figured out. It is about taking your everyday life and making it something magical. Just up-leveling it that little bit, just to make it that little bit more special. Creating sacred moments. You know, something the other week, like a candlelit dinner. Like, how can I elevate something that I do every single day and make it special? Throw on some candles, throw on some music, and just make it a memory. You know, maybe instead of doom scrolling on the couch on your phone, you go out in your backyard and you set up a little picnic. Lay out a picnic rug, take your lunch out there and just enjoy a beautiful day. Make it sacred, make it mean something. What about time that you spend with yourself? You know, sitting down and doing your skincare routine. Well, if you're doing it at nighttime, why not, again, light some candles. Yes, I'm obsessed with candles, I get it. But set the mood, put on some music, and just, even though this is like your day-to-day routine, how can you up-level it? That's what I want you to think about today when we are creating magic in your everyday life. How can you up-level the things that you do on a daily basis so that they are special? Maybe you have a family date night where once a week, everybody comes and sits at the table for a meal together and they share things about your week. Maybe you want to go the next step and maybe everybody gets dressed up for this occasion, even though it's just something that you're doing at home. So one thing that's pure magical that my husband and I do is that we do a Friday night cocktail hour. So this is, you know, we were, especially in a time where we were really saving money for this home, is that, you know, we couldn't afford to go out all the time and go out to the cocktail bars and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So what we did is we came up with a cocktail of the month where we chose a cocktail together. We would buy the ingredients there for it, but then every Friday for that month, we would do cocktail of the month. And after work, we would come together, make the cocktails, talk about our week, have some music on, cook dinner together, enjoying our cocktail and just having such a great time. And it was just something, you know, something so small, but just created these magical moments in our life. Another way that I also create joy is by having a bit of a reset. So every fortnight, my mum comes and stays with us when she has treatment. And then on the Sunday, I take her home and she lives down on the coast. So what I do is I also take Bodhi with me. And then once I drop my mum off, then what I do is then I go for a walk on the beach with Bodhi. And that is like our reset, you know, and usually it's in the evening. So we usually catch a beautiful sunset as well. But it's just this beautiful moment that's, you know, just for me and Bodhi, right? And what I mean by that as well is, you know, what is something that I would have to do is, you know, do the drop off and something that I have to do every fortnight anyway, is then by layering in the beach walk with it. Now it's something that I look forward to do every fortnight rather than focusing on the long commute that I have to make as well. I guess really what I just want you to know that even though there is so much chaos that can be going on inside our lives, is that we do have the ability to take our power back and to be more intentional. And I hope that this sort of inspires you to go, okay, how can I create a magical life? Because it is in my hands, regardless of what's going on outside. And sometimes I think the more that is going on outside in your life, so whether, you know, when your world is falling apart and crashing down around you, is that this is the most important time when you can do that, because it allows you to bring something more beautiful back into your life, bring that magic back into your everyday, so that you're not focusing on that negative stuff that's going on out there. So if this is where you are too, rebuilding, slowing down, remembering what matters, I see you. And if this path is something that you would like to walk with me, then I would love for you to hit the subscribe button. And if you need a gentle place to start and some support along the way, then I have created something for that. It's the Soft Life Starter Kit. It's full of these beautiful, tiny little shifts and rituals to help you to come home to yourself. The link is down below if you need it. You gorgeous soul. Thank you so much for joining me in this week's video. Of course, I'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Mwah.